So you're in the market for an EV and you want a little bit more pizzazz for your budget. Well, I may have an option for you. That option would be the Audi Q4 e-tron. And if you're saying, that looks eerily familiar, well, that's because this entry-level Audi EV shares components with the VW ID.4 under Volkswagen's MEB platform, so it gets the same batteries, electric motors, and some of the look, but with some added Audi spark like matrix design LED headlights, a large mouthy grille, and E-tron embossed in the front and rear bumpers so people know you're riding on some electrons. For even more style points, the Q4 e-tron has a Sportback variant with a sloping roofline and rear spoiler if you're into that kind of look. In terms of size, if you thought that the Q4 slots in between the Q3 and the Q5, you'd be right. Although this does look a bit small, its EV platform opens up the inside, so it could possibly give the interior space of the Q5 a run for its money. That EV system consists of an 82 kilowatt-hour battery pack that powers the rear wheels in a single motor setup called the 40 e-tron, or all wheels with a dual motor configuration like our tester here, the 50 e-tron. And there's DC fast charging capabilities up to 150 kilowatts. So if you're in a rush, you can charge from 5 to 80% in roughly 36 minutes. That's enough time to watch maybe 4 or 5 KBB videos. You see that? That's 2 types of plugs. Subscribe. The battery pack layout allows for some very workable cargo room and comfortable interior space. Behind the second row, there's 24.8 cubic feet of space, and fold down the 40-20-40 rear seats for 53 cubic feet. Inside the cabin, the Q4 e-tron accommodates quite well. So me being 6'4", for everyone who doesn't know, let's see how I fit in the front seats of the Q4 e-tron. So dropping right in, I have plenty of head space, plenty of leg space. I can even scoot the seat back a little bit, and the steering wheel has a good range of motion. Yeah, it's obvious I can fit in the front. Let's see how I fit behind myself. Look at that, I still have room, and because this isn't the Sportback, the roof doesn't slope over as bad, and I still have some headroom. And thanks to this flat floor, if you're in the middle seat and you're tall like me, you'll have some good leg room, but your head will be bumping and maybe bumping into the seat if I'm driving. But I mean, if you're tall and you're sitting behind a regular sized person, then you'll have plenty of space. I mean, it's pretty nice back here. The cabin of the Q4 has a relatively modest vibe for an EV. There is a premium feel with soft materials up top and plastics at the bottom, but there's a quality fit and finish with plenty of angles to give this interior a more futuristic look. The 10.25-inch gauge cluster, which houses Audi's digital cockpit, allows you to customize the screen to your liking, and a 10.1-inch infotainment touchscreen, although looks very non-futuristic, is angled towards the driver and works just fine with standard wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. When you're hopping into the Q4, all the screens turn on. You just put your foot on the brake and you're ready to go. This start-stop button just pretty much seems irrelevant. The only bad thing is when you're hopping out and you get out of the seat, everything turns off, so you can't really leave the car on. But anyways, that's a cool feature when you're in a hurry. What's not so cool is the hexagonal steering wheel. I mean, if you're driving like at a California 12, then maybe it's okay, but I just don't really like the shape of the steering wheel. Second is the gloss black around here. This is a high touch point area. This is gonna get smudges almost every day. That's not cool. And while we're down here, the third thing that I really just don't like is the rotating wheel for the volume control. This needs to be up here, and it needs to be a volume knob. But I can't down the interior that bad because it does have its strong points. I mean, the panoramic roof not only is very large, but you can also open it to get some fresh air. I mean, that's pretty cool, right? The second thing that's cool is the screen. It's easy to work, it's responsive, it's snappy, and it just looks great. The third thing, and finally, are the temperature controls. You actually have controls. It's not integrated into the screen, and it's not some funky touchpad or haptic feedback control. That's great. You see, some good stuff and some bad stuff. You gotta have balance, right? Yeah. Getting our dual motor 50 e-tron on the road will push out 295 horsepower, while its single motor variant will only dish out 201 horsepower, but that will yield up to 265 miles of EPA rated range, leaving the dual motor configuration only achieving up to 236 miles of range. Those range numbers are similar to most of the other luxury compact SUV EVs in this segment, but then comes the question, do you want more range or more power? Me personally, I would spring for the dual motor setup just because it has all-wheel drive and it has more power, and that instant torque, it can be a bit addicting. So what's wrong with having a little bit more fun while filling out your honey-do list going to the grocery store? Ooh. A pretty cool feature to note is the available augmented reality head-up display, which will project navigation directions directly on the windshield. And if you plan on using the Q4 e-tron to haul some toys, maximum tow capacity for the 40 e-tron is 2,200 pounds and 2,600 pounds for the 50 e-tron. Standard safety features include parking sensors, blind spot warning with rear cross-traffic alert, forward collision mitigation, and lane departure warning. But if you're looking for adaptive cruise control or lane keep assist on the base model, well, those don't come standard. And that isn't ideal, but what makes up for it is the Q4's fun handling. I mean, this thing has a lot of fun potential, so that kind of makes up for it, right? Fun. Around corners, the Q4 has a playful attitude. There's not much body roll in this compact crossover EV, and steering feels precise. The low center of gravity, thanks to the battery pack, in addition to the all-wheel drive system, helps you feel planted to the road. There are 4 different drive modes to help customize your driving experience, and paddles behind the steering wheel allows you to select your regenerative braking feel. However, if you're looking for a one-pedal drive in this EV, the closest you'll get is B mode, which is located on the shifter for maximum braking regen. While driving the Q4 e-tron moderately around town, it's actually quite pleasant. Visibility is good, and there's not a lot of noise coming into the cabin, and road noise isn't that apparent even though this has large wheels on it. Steering is a bit light, and that's okay because you're not gonna be tracking a Q4 anytime. And I gotta say, the brakes are a bit squishy. It takes a little bit getting used to. I noticed that right off the bat. There's also drive modes if you want to change up your driving experience. There's individual, efficiency, dynamic, comfort, and auto. If you're looking for something that has a pretty refined ride, quiet cabin, and a spunky demeanor, well, I mean, the Q4 e-tron does just that. Pricing for the Q4 e-tron starts at $48,800 plus a destination charge for the premium 40 e-tron trim with a single motor and rear wheel drive. And for the 50 e-tron with the dual motors and all-wheel drive, that starts at just under $54,000. With that, you get 19-inch wheels, LED headlights, power tailgate, panoramic sunroof, 3-zone climate control, leather seating with heated front seats, digital gauge cluster, and 10-inch infotainment screen. Moving up the trim ladder adds features like keyless entry, power adjustable passenger seat, a heated steering wheel, sound-insulated front windows, wireless phone charging, and Sonos premium audio system. Higher trims can also add an S-line package for black trim pieces, 20-inch wheels, sport front seats, and a flat-bottom steering wheel. The highest prestige trim starts at just under $62,000 and only comes as the 50 e-tron. And for more subjective styling, the Q4 e-tron Sportback version starts at $56,800 and comes with the dual motor all-wheel drive setup standard. Whether you're checking out the Q4 or maybe going the ID4 route or sticking with a luxury compact SUV EV, go on kbb.com and get a fair purchase price so that way your EV buying adventure will be a good one. Check the link in the description. Competitors in this segment include the Mercedes-Benz EQB, Genesis GV60, Volvo XC40 Recharge, and of course the Tesla Model Y. With new EVs popping up left and right, it may be difficult to stand out, but Audi brings a familiar face to the race with its refined cabin, usable technology, and competent ride at a not so intimidating price point. So, if you're looking to get into a luxury SUV EV without shocking your bank account, make sure you put the Audi Q4 e-tron on your list.